All right, welcome back. Today we're going to continue looking at OpenAI's new operator tool, which we looked a little bit at last time. And you can think of it as basically like very smart web automation. So this AI tool operator will take a prompt and it can navigate a web browser on your behalf and do all kinds of things like you can see in the example below. It can reserve tables, make reservations, etc. The key thing about it is it doesn't have to be pre-trained on the websites it works with. The model knows how to interact with websites similar to how a human would. And so last time I showed some quick demos of that. This time we're going to try to use Operator to be a calendar and email management system, basically like a little admin helper for us. And again, I'm going to do this like live streaming format and just give it a try and see what happens. So we'll take it from there. And I'm going to use Outlook for this, but I assume it'll work with pretty much any email tool. So I'm going to start off. Now, I do need to log in to my account for this. And so I need to get Operator to open up its browser. So I'm going to ask it is, what can I help you do? I'm going to say, I need to manage my calendar and email at outlook.com. So that'll cause it to open up a browser. And what we will do is we will then take control of it and log ourselves in. And yes, this is a little scary. You're giving a model access to your accounts and it will be taking actions on your behalf. All right, so I have taken control of the browser and now you can just do the login manually. And this is a super slow process because this hosted web browser is not exactly quick. So we'll just log in with my test account here. And by the way, you also can't, to the best of my knowledge, copy and paste, which makes entering these long passwords a little cumbersome. All right, so we are all logged in. Now, once we've done the login, we can give control back to Operator just by saying finish up here. And you can optionally say what you did, and I will tell it I logged in Outlook.com. All right, now that we're logged in, here's the prompt we're going to use. And we're going to give it a whole lot of work to do. I'm going to treat it similar to how you might treat like if you were working with a person and giving them a whole bunch of activities to do on your calendar, emails to send, etc. So here is the prompt. I said, okay, need to do several things. First, set up a weekly mountain biking event from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Saturdays and invite my friend Bob at Sonoran Tech at proton.me. So here we're asking it to create a recurring event every Saturday with no end. And then add my dentist appointment on February 4th at 2 p.m. I didn't say how long it is, but we'll let it figure that out. Then I'm going to do another recurring event, but a bounded one. So then I have exercise class on the next 2 Wednesdays at 6 p.m. for an hour. Add those to the calendar. So that's the calendar stuff. Now I'm going to ask it to take care of some email. And it said, finally, send an email to my friend Bob. And tell him I'm excited to go mountain biking. Don't ask me for confirmation to create the appointments, send invitations, or send emails. Just do it. Now, a couple notes here. So first, see, I gave Bob's email address above, and I didn't give it again. So I want to see how it handles that. And then in playing around, I noticed that Operator is very careful in doing anything that would cause like a state change. So sending an email, adding a calendar event, it's going to prompt you before it does everything. And that gets a little annoying. So I asked it, basically don't prompt, like go for it, do everything. And I'm curious if we'll actually like obey that. So we will let it go off and work. You know what I'll do? And I will expand this so we can watch it do its thing. And over here, you can see its thought process. So it's switching to the month view for navigation, selecting February 1st for the event. Okay, so it created a mountain biking event. It looks like it got the times right, and it's adding the recurrence. Okay. Now it's adding the invitee, my friend Bob. And, oh, did it send it? So it's creating the dentist appointment, February 4th, right? Looks like it's making it an hour. Notice it is not prompting me for anything. That's very cool. Like when you first use this, every change it makes, any save operation, it will prompt you. All right, so what's it doing now? Okay, now it's scheduling exercise classes, 6 p.m. to 7. Okay, so it saved the exercise class. Now it navigated over to the email. So let's see if it knows Bob's email address. It does. You can see the train of thought right here. Preparing email to Bob, entering Bob's email address now. It knew it, wrote an email, and it sent it. Wow. Okay, and then it summarized what it did. So let's get out of this view. And it says, I've set up the following in your Outlook calendar: weekly mountain biking event with Bob invited, dentist appointment, exercise class. I also sent an email to Bob expressing excitement. Well, okay, well, that looked pretty amazing. So here's what we'll do. So I opened up Outlook directly, and let's take a look at our calendar and see if it makes sense. And we have a mountain biking event. We'll just take a look at it. This looks right. We added 1 dentist appointment and 2 exercise classes. Okay, I think it got it exactly right. And then we asked it to send an email. So we'll go over to our email. I'm going to look in my sent folder. And here is the sent email. And then over here, you can see this is Bob's fake email. But you can see the 2 events he got emailed. So this bottom one here is the calendar event. And then the top one is the email. So in my opinion, that is pretty darn amazing. Now, it took a long time. So if you look, this took 3 minutes of work. But the idea is you could have just like entered that prompt, gone off and done something else. And assuming it got it all right, which it did in this case, you didn't need to do any of that. You just that's really amazing. And you can imagine if you had a busy calendar, kind of reviewing it and giving this a whole bunch of commands and setting up your calendar for the week. Now, I'm not going to try anything more complicated than that today, but before we do, I will ask it to go clean up the calendar a little bit. I'm going to say, oh, I'm so sorry, mountain biking got canceled. Actually, let's make it a little more complicated. Mountain biking is canceled for the next 2 weeks. Please delete those events and send Bob an email letting him know. We'll see how it handles that. All right, so for the prompt, I'm going to say I need one more change. Cancel the next 2 weeks of mountain biking and send Bob an email letting him know. So a very human way of communicating where it assumes a lot of previous context about what's going on. So I'm curious how it actually forms the email, because I didn't really tell it what to say. I just said, let him know. And I'm curious how it handles canceling 2 weeks of mountain biking, because that can get a little complex with calendars and recurring events, etc. So we'll let that run. So it says canceling the Feb 8th and 15 instances. So it got that, calculated that correctly. So it's canceling the event. I just looked at that fast. So it looks like it got that right. Now you could argue it did this wrong. I'll wait till it's done, but I do see something. So now it's sending Bob an email. Let's see what it came up with. Oh, okay. Let's not. All right. So we'll go back and look at that in a second. All right, let's close this out. And it said, I've canceled the mountain biking event for the next 2 Saturdays and informed Bob via email. Is there anything else you need help with? I'll say no. Let's go back to where I am logged in to Outlook. Look at the calendar and see there are 2 Saturdays of mountain biking canceled. However, I said cancel the next 2, but it didn't cancel this one. And so I think I see why now. So if you look, I think this calendar on the calendar's time zone or something thinks it's already Saturday. So you can see the Saturday is highlighted. So when I said the next 2, it didn't count this one yet. So there's probably just some small time zone issue. When I first saw it happen, I thought it had messed up the calculation, but I think it's probably down to the time zone of the calendar. And in that case, it did it right. So it did cancel those events. Nice job. And then it sent the email. Here's the sent mountain biking update. And it was sent. So there you go. Quick demo of how you can use Operator to manage your email and calendar. And I will say I am actually pretty blown away by how well it did that with, I think, no mistakes. And those are I thought those were reasonably complicated asks of a calendar, and it nailed it. I'll have to try it and see if I can get even more complicated on it. But there you go. Next demo of Operator for you to take a look at. This is definitely worth trying if you want to spend $200 a month, but I don't think it's worth it just yet for that. Anyway, let me know if you've had a chance to use this in the comments below, and we'll see you next time.